As you remember, on October 3, 2024, the Ministry of Defense of the Russian Federation officially announced that the fighters of the group of troops under the designation center were able to completely dislodge the Ukrainian army units from the western part of the settlement of Tsukurino, in Pokrovsk direction of the front. And now, 2 days later, an expert at the Center for Military and Political Journalism, Boris Razin, said that Russian troops had almost completely liberated the village of Tsukurino. According to him, 99% of this settlement territory is under Russian troops' control. It is reported that the remnants of the Ukrainian army units are still on the territory of a local poultry farm, in the western part of Tsukurino. This village can be considered completely liberated by Russian troops, since the Ukrainian soldiers who are on the territory of the poultry farm have stopped resisting, and are trying to leave the village in small groups in a westerly direction. I believe that in the coming days and even hours, Ukrainian soldiers will completely leave the settlement of Tsukurino, military expert Boris Razin said. By the way, Ukrainian journalist Vladimir Boyko noted that cases of desertion in the Ukrainian army have long been widespread. According to him, the soldiers of the 186th Separate Battalion, commanded by Lieutenant Colonel Igor Grib, were supposed to help the elite 72nd Separate Mechanized Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, which held the defense in Volodar. However, the Ukrainian soldiers could not withstand the pressure of the Russian forces, and fled the city on the second day after the start of the fighting. Surprisingly, even this and the loss of Volodar did not affect the head of the Kiev regime, Vladimir Zelensky. In his yesterday's address to Ukrainian citizens, this former comedian in all seriousness said that the military operation of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region allegedly goes according to Kiev's plan. According to him, if the Ukrainian armed forces had not invaded the Kursk region, the Russian army would have captured Chasiv Yar and Pokrovsk long ago. At the same time, the head of the Kiev regime decided not to tell Ukrainian citizens that in the last 24 hours alone, the Ukrainian army lost 420 soldiers, 5 artillery pieces, 3 electronic warfare systems, 1 engineering clearing vehicle, 8 pickup trucks, and 2 German Leopard tanks in the Kursk region. According to official data from the Russian military department, as of October 6, 2024, the total losses of the armed forces of Ukraine in the Kursk region amounted to 21,000 soldiers and 2,000 units of heavy equipment, including 140 units of tanks. By the way, military experts and analysts from the magazine Bulgarian Military criticized German tanks in the Special Military Operation Zone. According to them, the German Leopard 206 tanks turned out to be absolutely unsuitable for modern combat operations. Experts have noticed that in recent months Ukrainians have increasingly begun to use German tanks as evacuation vehicles. In particular, footage of German tanks evacuating Soviet combat vehicles of the Ukrainian army from the battlefield began to appear more and more often on the network. According to experts, German tanks weigh 62 tons, and that this particular heavyweight is one of the main disadvantages of these combat vehicles. The fighting in Ukraine showed that due to the heavyweight, the transmission and chassis of German tanks very often failed on uneven terrain due to constant vibrations. In addition, the advanced electronics of German tanks and fire control systems also often failed after the first hit by an enemy shell. According to experts, during the entire period of hostilities, the Ukrainian army lost 40 units of German Leopard tanks of various modifications. Meanwhile, on the night of October 5, the Russian armed forces launched another bomb and rocket attack on military facilities in Ukraine. This time, military facilities in the Kharkiv, Sumy, Odessa, Nikolaev, and Kirovograd regions were targeted. So, in the Kharkiv region, in the village of Kucherovka, which is located northeast of the city of Kupiansk, two Fab 3000 guided aerial bombs hit and destroyed buildings, in which militants of the 14th Separate Motorized Rifle Brigade of the Armed Forces of Ukraine were located. It is reported that as a result of this attack, the losses of the Ukrainian army amounted to 30 soldiers and 10 units of heavy equipment. In the Sumy region, in the northwestern part of the city of KANATOVO, Russian ballistic missiles hit and destroyed two fuel storage depots. In the Odessa and Nikolaev regions, independent monitoring services recorded 5 explosions in the port area of key cities in these regions. It is noteworthy that the day before this missile attack, another bulk carrier was spotted in the port of Odessa, which arrived from one of the NATO countries with military cargo for Ukraine. And finally, in the Kirovograd region, in the city of Kropivnitsky, Russian Iskander-M ballistic missiles hit the KANATOVO military airbase. Sources in the Russian military department said that as a result of this missile attack, the infrastructure of this military facility was significantly damaged. Moreover, representatives of the Russian Defense Ministry also confirmed the death of 3 U.S. Air Force fighter pilots. It is reported that these American pilots were of Ukrainian origin, and that they arrived in Ukraine intending to pilot F-16 fighter jets, which were transferred to the Ukrainian Air Force by NATO countries.